Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? I hope you all had a beautiful night's sleep. I hope you all rested well. Yes, I did. I'm telling you, I'm telling you every day that God is faithful. Sometimes things happen in your life that you just feel like everyone is against you. I'm saying that from my own life experience. Sometimes things happen to me and I just feel like everybody's against me. Even God Himself is against me. But yesterday, God showed me that you know what? I am with you, baby girl. I am always with you. I'm not going to tell that story yet, you know, but all I want you to know is that there is a God that listens and hears our prayers. When you call on Him with all humility, you call on Him with faith, you call on Him and talk to Him like you're talking to a person, He listens to you. He listens. I'm serious about this, guys. God listens. He listens to every little thing you have to say. He's just like that patient father who will wait for you to, whine and cry and complain and throw your tantrums, and then gently and quietly he'll come to you and say, "Are you okay now? Do you want us to talk now?" That is exactly how God is. Sometimes you cry, you say all kinds of rubbish from your mouth. You get so angry and confused, and most part of it is fear. When you are scared of what you're going through, then that thing may likely swallow you. But when you're going through something and you decide not to, you take fear out of the way, you will find out that you always make uh, a good a good landing. That's all I will say about this. The story is coming. That's all I will say about this. But this morning, guys, I'm going to share this another funny story with you. Yeah, I'm going to share this story with you. This was when a whole church, I mean, when I say church, I mean from the pastor to the members to his wife and everything, they all called me a smoker. Yeah. And they were saying it behind my back. I didn't even know. They said, "Do you notice that she smoked? She started smoking." And guys, I did not know. Sincerely, I did not know. This was years ago when I was still going back and forth in the court system with these oppressors. I think I had taken them to court that time for restraining order or something, and we were asked to come to court. At that time, too, I was doing this babysitting thing in my apartment. I told you I started from my apartment. So I was doing that babysitting thing in my apartment, and I was also attending this particular church. I'm not going to mention their name, but if any of them watch this video, they will know I'm talking about them. So this was years back, guys, about 19 years ago, 19, 18 years ago. So I was a member of that church. Actually, I was a choir member of that church. So I had children in my apartment. I had one child that day because what I used to do then was whenever I have court dates, I'll take permission. I'll tell the parents I can't open and I'll go to court. But that particular day, the woman came begging. She said she can't keep her child anywhere. She was the only one. So I took that child with me to the court with my babies, of course, because my children were still in strollers then. So before I left for the church, um I was cooking. I woke up around 4:30 to cook that food, and that food was still cooking. And I checked it. It was soft enough. I was cooking breadfruit, okwa, if you're an Igbo. So I was cooking it for lunch. So I said, let me just cook it this early morning. So when I come back from the court, there'll be food for me, and then I can find something for the twins. So I put this thing on the stove, and I finished cooking. And guys, I thought I turned off the stove. I thought so. So I left the apartment with this food still on the stove, with light still on the stove. So I left um, for the court. You know how things drag in the court, how you waste time, how it doesn't, you don't really, sometimes they tell you to, your court hearing is at 1, you get there, they don't start till 3. That day it was an early court, like I had to be there by 10. So I left the house around 8:30 or 8 o'clock. And I got to the court, and of course I was delayed as usual. So I spent about 4 hours in the court with the children. So when I came back into the apartment, I opened the door. The first thing I noticed was that the handle of the door was a little bit warm, just warm. I said, oh, maybe it's the weather. I opened the door, and guys, the whole apartment was black, pitch black. Then it dawned on me that I did not turn off my stove. So I ran straight to the stove and I turned it off. There was no fire, just smoke. Imagine cooking okwa for 4 hours. The water had dried and okwa became black. And then the pot was also very dark. So I turned off the stove and I ushered the children in. I opened all the windows and the smoke was going out and going out. So before evening, when this child was about to be picked up, every smoke had gone out. I put the fan, the kitchen fan, I put everything, I opened the whole window, I lifted the windows up. So the smoke was over. So this parent came and picked up her child. And I noticed when she came in, she was like somehow, but I didn't really pay any mind to it. I was like, maybe she's just tired from work. So she just picked up her child, and it was unlike her. Normally she would stop and ask, how was his day? What happened? And this child was around 4 years old then. So it's not a tiny baby. So she picked up the child and she left. And I didn't know anything was wrong. I did not know anything was wrong. To me, everything was still fine. So that evening was choir practice. So I got my children ready. We changed our clothes and everything, and we went to church. So when we went to church for for choir practice, I sat where I normally sit, and I noticed that people were just acting like something was smelling, or like they were just acting strange. And I noticed that most of them tried to move away from me. I looked at myself, my clothes were clean, I took my bath before coming. And I said, well, maybe it's something else. I didn't even smell anything myself, but I assumed everybody was smelling something from me. And nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. So I came back home. I went back home in the night. The next morning, this lady did not bring her child. So I said, okay, maybe she was just busy. So I later, around 10 o'clock, I got worried. I said, let me call her and ask her what was that, why she didn't bring her child. So I called her and she said, Madam, when I brought my child to you, I thought you were a Christian. I said, yes, I'm a Christian. He said, but I don't know what happened. I don't know why you started smoking all of a sudden. I said, me smoking? I said, no, I don't smoke. She said, Madam, we're still trying to wash our son off the smell of smoke from your house. He said, when I picked up my son yesterday, the house smelled of smoke, like you were smoking a lot, and the smell was everywhere. I said, what? She said, Madam, do you know we had to shampoo our child's hair? We had to. I said, no, Madam, I don't smoke. I did not smoke. It still did not occur to me that it was from the smoke from the kitchen. I didn't really think anything. I didn't, my mind did not really go there. Let me just say that. So I tried to defend myself. I said, no, I don't smoke. She said, well, my child will no longer come to your place. So we can no longer continue. And guys, this was like on a Thursday. And she was supposed to pay me on Monday, So, of course, I knew that money was lost. But that was not even my problem then. My problem was, why would she think I'm a smoker? Why would she call me a smoker? Did she see any smoke? Did she see any cigarettes in my house? I got so upset. So I kept asking myself, I said, why would this woman say this? And before you know it, and then that time, my child care thing was word of the mouth. The other children came again the next day, and the parents came. The two parents the two parents that brought their children the next day got to my door, opened the door, and said, "Ah, madam, who smoked in your house?" I said, "I don't smoke." Oh. I said, "I don't know why people are, why it's like I smoke." I said, "I don't smoke." The woman said that this place smells of cigarettes. Ah, madam, cigarette is not good. Oh. Don't allow depression to make you to start to smoke. Oh. Don't allow anything you're going through to put you into all this. So, can you take care of the children can you still take care of the children? At that point, I was like, what is really going on? I said, no, I'm not a smoker. I did not smoke. And that was when it dawned on me. And I said, you know what happened? I said, I burnt something on the stove yesterday. I was cooking and I forgot about it. I didn't want to say I went to court or what. I said, I just forgot about food on my stove. And that was why the whole place is smelling. And she said, oh, you could have called the fire service. There's a way they will come and extract all the smoke. I said, I didn't know. I didn't know there was any service like that. She said, madam, you have to take away all the clothes in the house. So you have to wash all the clothes. You have to do this and, try to restore the apartment. The smell is just too much. So I said, okay. So I went to church. And when I got to church that Sunday, I wanted to give a testimony about what happened. So I stood up and I told the church, I thank God for saving my children and that I went to court and I left something on the stove and I came back, the house would have burnt down, but thank God it was only the stove, the food that got burnt. And everybody was, I mean, the testimony did not really catch them. Like, they already concluded I was a smoker. So they thought I was trying to make up the story to make an excuse for how I smelled or how my children smelled. My children, normally when they get to church, people grab them and pick them and do everything. But that Sunday, people did not really pick these children up. I was like, okay. So I went back home that day and I took my time. I took all the clothes, everything because I left the bedroom open. So my closet had clothes in them. So all the clothes in the closet absorbed the smoke. So every clothes in the house was smelling like the smoker's clothes. So I took time to wash all the clothes, took everything to the laundromat, from the smallest piece of cloth to the largest piece of cloth, all my, the sheets, everything, the curtains, everything. I spent more than 5 hours at the laundromat that evening. So I washed everything, I put them away, I closed the closet, I locked everything up, and then I started, trying to take out the smoke. And I was still scared of calling the fire service. I was like, if I call them and I tell them I went somewhere, left them, I don't know. Those days I lived in fears. I lived in fears. I lived in fear. So any little thing would trigger me. Any little mistake, I'll be scared of the police coming to get my children, because these people had already put fear in me. They already put that fear that I was walking on eggshells. I was always being careful of what I say, what I do, and how I do it. So I couldn't call the fire service. It took me more than 2 weeks to finally get my apartment to smell good. It took me more than 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks, all the parents took their children away. I told the remaining 2 or 3 parents to keep their children, that I want to clean my apartment. So they took all their children away. So I had to clean up and make the apartment smell good again. But of course, you know what that meant. That meant that money did not come in for those 2 weeks. So, and I suffered it. I suffered it because some bills were not paid, and I got penalized for some things. And that very month, I couldn't pay my rent. Yes, because I didn't have enough money to pay my rent. So I paid them part of what I had, and then the rest was still owed. So they threatened to take me to court the next month if I don't pay everything before the next month. So I had to work extra hard. And it wasn't easy. But you know what, guys? Whenever I tell this story, I just want to thank God, because the type of hardship that I went through in this country is something that I can't really tell of all of them, because sometimes when I'm talking, I myself get upset. I get so upset that I went through those things, you know. But looking at everything right now, I just want to give God the praise. I want to thank Him for everything He did. The church did not believe that I was not smoking. They didn't believe anything. And the pastor's wife said it. I mean, they were saying it for a long